Hi all, welcome back to a new post today, and today let's discuss about urbanization and the issues surrounding urbanization because it's an important topic from your paper 3, that's TSPSC Group 1 Means examination for the upcoming 2023 examination. Urbanization is one of the notable features, especially if a country is growing and developing. Urban areas are called as the growth poles because they are the market and they provide various services to the surrounding areas. They also generate a lot of income for the government, which caters to the GDP of the economy. Urbanization has its own peculiar features and is differentiated from the rural areas based on the subsistence system or the economic activities. So the Ministry of Urban Housing and Urban Affairs at the center said that by 2030, almost 70% of the national GDP will come from our cities, and as rapid urbanization facilitates efficiencies of agglomerations, the best performing cities in the world contribute to 5 times more to the national GDP than comparable to the Indian cities. And urbanization is not a very recent phenomenon. We had cities and towns since the ancient period, from the Indus Valley civilization itself. So we need to generate similar density of economic activity from our cities even now to answer the calls to our Honorable Prime Minister, especially for a goal of a $5 trillion economy and also the most developed country in the world. Urbanization is derived from a Latin word called as urbs, which means it's a term used by the Romans to refer to city. Urbanization means increasing population living in cities and suburbs of cities in the country. By 19th and 20th century, majority of the cities in the world are now undergoing a lot of growth of urban population. In India also, the urban population was just 0.37% in 1951. And it has increased to 27.81% according to the 2001 census and 31.16% in 2011, and according to the recent estimates even touches 40%. It is increasing day by day. According to the Asian Development Bank, the national increase and then the reasons for urbanization, that is increase in population of the urban areas, one is because of the natural increase, that's because of population increase, and the most important the factor that caters to urbanization is migration. These are the majority of the contributing factors for urban growth. The share of the world's urban population living in urban areas has increased from just 39% in 1980 to 48% in 2000, and this is a very recent data. However, urbanization it has its own advantages but also has disadvantages as well if it is growing without proper planning, and it gives rise to various problems such as housing, sanitation, education, provision of safe drinking water, unemployment, and particularly for the underdeveloped countries or growing nations. Urbanization is popularly defined as a rise in the population in urban areas in the country. United Nations perceives urbanization as movement of the people from the rural or the backward areas to the urban areas. Now, there are two ways in which the urban areas are defined in India. One is the census definition and the other is the municipal laws. The Census of India broadly defines the urban areas into the following types, that is statutory towns with a municipality, corporation, cantonment board, etc. Census towns, all villages with a minimum of population of 5,000 persons in the preceding census, and at least 75% of the male working population is engaged in non-agricultural activities, and a density of at least 400 persons per square kilometer. Urban agglomeration, a continuous urban spread comprising 2 or more towns. Urban growths or outgrowths, areas around a core city or a town, such as well-recognized places such as railway colonies, university campus, ports, etc., lying outside the limit of a town. The municipal laws, however, classify the urban areas very differently than the census one. The categories according to the municipal laws are the municipal corporation having a population of about 3 lakhs, municipal council 1 to 3, and Nagar Panchayat similarly. The trends in urbanization, if you look, the 2005 data envisages that the world is projected to urbanize at 60% of the global population is expected to live in cities by 2030, and it is generally faster in the developed countries than the developing countries. Now, trends in the developed countries, if you look at the trends in the developed countries, important trends in urbanization in developed countries are suburbanization, urban renewal, gentrification, and megalopolitan development. So suburbanization is one of the most significant changes in urban form that has happened in the advanced capitalist countries, especially in the 20th century. It has taken place around the edges of the major towns and cities. A suburb is an area of residence, a neighborhood of houses, rather than a mixed land type of neighborhood found in the city proper. Suburbanization is primarily caused because of the migration of the people to the countryside, escaping from the drawbacks of the urban life. Urban renewal is the second phenomenon. Urban renewal is a continuous process of remodeling of the urban areas by means of rehabilitation and conservation as well as redevelopment. Gentrification means change in the social character of the neighborhood as a result of professional high-income groups seeking residence in the central city or location. Gentrification is socially important in attracting some middle to high-income residents back to the central areas, and megalopolitan development is one of the most significant facets of urbanization in the developed countries, in growth of cities especially. So we see that here the cities expand physically and the same number of people is living in the cities but at lower density. If you look at the trends in developing countries like India, urbanization in developed countries is higher compared to the developed countries. As per the United Nations statistics, percentage of people in the urban areas of developed countries is 79%, while in the less developed countries it is 46.8%. Urbanization in the African region is found slightly higher in the Asian region. Urbanization takes place without much industrialization in the developing areas and strong economic base. Lack of industrialization led urbanization has led to growth of unorganized sector, which is a characteristic of low wage rate and poor service conditions that affect the quality of life. Unplanned urbanization is another feature of the developing countries, where urban growth of urban slums characterized by low quality housing, poor sanitation, access to clean drinking water. So if you look at the causes of urbanization, they are agriculture development, industrial development, market forces, growth of service centers, emergence of towns, of socio-cultural centers, improvement in the transportation and communication, and natural increase of the population. But however, what are the issues with regard to urbanization? Now recently, even the government of India has been addressing some issues regarding to urbanization, especially after flooding and also unplanned growth, and also the slums that are growing into the urban area. So urbanization and health is one of the important issue that you should address. So the World Summit on Sustainable Development identified health as an integral component of sustainable development, and therefore urban areas, particularly slums that grow in the urban areas, expose many people to various health problems because of unhealthy environment, poor living conditions. Urbanization and health issues are related to pollution because of the increase in the vehicular emissions, and also the lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle. The working with the corporate sector leads to many non-communicable diseases. Urbanization and education is a second issue. Although access to education is not a problem in the urban areas, but affordability of education is a major issue in the urban areas. Urbanization has boosted the higher education in metropolis and cities. With proliferation of cities, schools, colleges, many universities also have been established. However, the literacy rate in urban areas is higher, and this shows a difference with rural areas. Sanitation, urbanization and sanitation is another important thing. There are poor people who are victims of environmental degradation. The urban sanitation is a very big issue with regard to sanitation infrastructure falling short of the demand and the need and the growing population in the urban areas. Sanitation also means safe disposal of waste. It is estimated that 40 million people reside in the slums without adequate sanitation. Drainage system is unorganized in the slums, and also the drinking water availability is not easily available in the slum areas. The open drainage system also causes effect to the health of the people. So urbanization, waste disposal is another big important thing. Electronic waste, especially your biological waste, is also another important issue in the urban areas. And lack of dumping grounds, lack of segregation of waste so that the biodegradable waste can be used, especially in regard to the farming sector, that is not still available in the urban area. So sanitation is definitely posing a big challenge to the sustainability of city. Urbanization and safe drinking water. Safe drinking water definitely is an increasing problem in the urban areas because of more of demand and less of supply. The United Nations recognizes access to clean drinking water as a part of of the human right, but it remains out of reach for millions of people. Some 400 million people in Africa live in urban areas, but as of 2008, 55 million lack access to clean drinking water. And according to the Stockholm International Water Institute, global effort to improve access to clean drinking water is hindered by rapid urbanization. Urbanization has also led to a lot of water pollution because of the industries located in around the cities. Urbanization and housing problem is another basic thing. So one of the key challenges for urbanization is the housing. However, rising in urban population has also created a bigger problem to the housing needs, and this has also led to the growth of slums for those people who cannot really afford. Excessive urbanization has created haphazard growth of housing colonies. Slums, quarter settlements have become a well-known phenomena in metropolitan cities like Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, etc. Urbanization, pollution because mainly of the vehicles, factories, indoor pollution especially in the slums, quarters, etc. and also with regard to water pollution because of the industries located there. Urbanization and poverty, not everybody can afford the lifestyle in the urban areas. Those people who migrate cannot afford a better lifestyle and therefore end up staying in very shabby settlements with lack of sanitation facilities, lack of health facilities, etc. There is a lot of social crimes, especially in urbanization. That's because they cannot afford the lifestyle in the urban areas. And according to ILO, 1/3 of the world's urban population, approximately 400 people, are living in poverty. It is to be noted that poverty related problems like overcrowding, hunger, diseases, crime, malnutrition are increasing in prevalent cities like of India. Both developing as well as developed countries face this problem as well. Economic development and urbanization are closely correlated. Urbanization and unemployment is another big important issue. So it is said that 45% of the urban households are engaged in the unorganized sector. The urban underemployment and the casual employment is another important problem that is the effect of urbanization. This has resulted to poor quality of living among the urban poor. Urbanization and transport issues. Transport is one of the most important factors that determines the pattern of urbanization, especially in the globalized world. Urban transportation requires road layout, traffic lights, vehicular passages, public transportation. A number of vehicles plying in the cities are not in consonance with the capacity of the road. Another aspect of the transport problem is accidents and also lack of public infrastructure which is environmentally friendly. Urbanization and urban administration. Unbridled urbanization has posed a problem to the administration, especially the municipal governance. Problems will arise as to how to organize the administrative structure. Lack of autonomy, lack of giving of financial powers to the local governments by the state is creating further issues. Also, administration of large areas and less of manpower and less of earnings or the taxes that are collected by the urban areas is posing another issue for the urban areas, especially uncontrolled expansion. Also, there is an issue with regard to infrastructure, better roads, better street lights, CCTV cameras for security. All this is lacking because of the lack of financial powers with the local governments, lack of autonomy and lack of better taxation powers with regard to many of the local governments in the state especially. Sustainable urban development definitely is the main of the SDGs, that is the Sustainable Development Goals, which says that cities should be sustainable. The United Nations Conference on Human Settlement has defined a sustainable city as where achievements in social, economic, physical development are made to last, not only for the present generation but also the future generations which come. A sustainable city has lasting supply of natural resources on which its development depends, and a lasting security from environmental hazards which may threaten development achievements. This is what the United Nations Conference on Human Settlement says, and sustainable development cities is one of the major goals of the SDGs that has to be achieved by all the nations under the United Nations by 2030, and India is taking definite steps in these areas which I've just defined now. The challenges with regard to urbanization, I'm sure I'll come up with them in my next post, and I hope this information was really helpful to you all. If you did, please do like, share, subscribe, and I shall see you with the other most important topics in my next post, and until then, it's very happy learning.